Okay, so Fujifilm X Pro 2. Now, I should say I don't have this camera anymore, and it's one of those ones that I regret selling on, I have to say. I will get to that in a little while, but let's just get on with the first sort of facts about the camera. So, X Pro 2 came out in 2016 and second generation of this particular line of cameras, and the resolution went up by a staggering 50%, because I believe the X Pro 1 was 16 megapixels and the X Pro 2 is 24 megapixels. Now the X Pro 2 is one of those cameras that is actually sought after more than its successor, the X Pro 3, and the main reason, well, some of the main reasons for that, I think there's two really, and it's the screen on the back, or the lack of the screen on the X Pro 3, which is hidden, and also the colours you get out of the sensor are, well, it's the same sensor that's in the XT2 and the XT20, and it is a very, very nice sensor. You get very nice pictures from it, both black and white and colour, especially colour, and the dynamic range is just very, very good. So yes, there's that, and of course the other main difference is you only have one UHS-2 SD card. The other SD card slot, the second SD card slot is UHS-1, and that's one of the improvements they made on the X Pro 3. They moved it to both of them being UHS-2. Also with the X Pro 3, that has the 26 megapixel sensor, the same one that's in the XT3, the XT4, the XS10, the XS20 and the X100V or 5, whatever you want to call it. So yes, that's that little bit out of the way. Now this was one of the first of the X Pro series to also give you 4K video. Now again, it's not 10-bit, I believe it's 8-bit like the XT2. But then again, of course, with the newer sensor, the X Pro 3 has the, like I said this before, the same sensor as all those other cameras, and does 10-bit 422 4K video. Now, of course, there's no IBIS in this camera and all the X Pro 3, so you're relying solely on either your hands, fast shutter speed, or if you've got a lens with optical stabilization, then that's good as well. I should say I did have a bit of a problem with my X Pro 2 at one point, and it was down to the lens. I had the 18-55 f2.8 to f4 variable aperture lens, the kit lens, one of the best lenses that Fuji have ever made when it comes to price. Bang for buck, that is still one of the best lenses you can get. If you set it down to f8, it's just so sharp. But yes, I updated the firmware in the X Pro 2 that I had, and then I updated the firmware for the lens, and for some reason when I put the lens on, it kept, every time I turned the camera on, it kept malfunctioning. It kept doing this little shuddering all the time, like it was trying to calibrate it, which is very, very strange. Yes, but I hope you're enjoying all these photos, by the way, as I'm nattering on. They're all taken on the X Pro 2 with a 23mm, I think it's the 23mm f2, and that's an incredibly sharp lens. Again, I had it set to, I think, f8. And it's just so light. Now, when it came to usability, the EVF isn't bad. I mean, you've got an OVF as well, or you can have various things come up on the, while you've got the OVF open, sort of like I think it's a tiny little focusing bit as well. That was, to make sure you get the focusing. But then if you use an automatic focus, autofocus lens, it's not really that, well, I suppose if you want that kind of the Leica experience, that's the other thing with the X Pro series. They're so much cheaper than Leicas. Yes, Leicas are full frame, blah 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 blah, blah about full frame, full frame. Yes, full frame is not as relevant now than it was 15, 20 years ago, when the difference in quality was quite big. But Fujifilm have made it one of their sort of like cornerstones of their camera system. The X system is, yes, it's a 1.5 crop, the same as Nikon's crops, but they are top quality cameras, top quality sensors, top quality lenses. And I've even put vintage lenses on an X Pro 2 as well. I think some of these photos may have actually been shot with a 24mm f2.8 FD lens as well. Not entirely sure. I know I have done it on this camera. I may not be. These are all taken on the same day, so I may not have used it. But yes, when you have it set to the EVF, this little thing comes over in the eyepiece. So suddenly you can't see an OVF anymore, and it's the little EVF screen, and it's just like any other mirrorless camera. You can use focus peaking to get excellent focus with it. Now, when you see pictures of these online and on sites like MPB, for example, they look quite big, but they're not. They're quite light, but they are very well built. I think actually the X Pro 2 is actually better built than the X Pro 3. I don't know why, but I think it has a lot to do with the connection for the screen for the X Pro 3, because you have to unfold it to see the screen. And there's that little bit of cable that runs in, and that's a weak point in the camera. With the X Pro 2, it's like an old Pro DSLR where the screen is just in the back there, and you can turn it off. That's the other thing, you can have it so that the screen is on, and then when you put your eye up to the eyepiece, the screen goes away and down comes the EVF. I found that very irritating, I have to say. I just set it to the EVF all the time and have the screen off, and that worked perfectly well for me. And again, all these pictures were shot at ISO 800 because the lens I used didn't have optical stabilization, so I wanted a good, reasonably good shutter speed. And that's the other thing I found with the X Pro 2. Shooting at ISO 800, you get a very nice natural look. Actually, it can look a bit more like film, but it's still, I think I'll have to push it up to 1000 for it to have the nice little grainy effect of film in it, I think. But that being said, 800 on a sunny day, remember the maximum shutter speed is 1/8000th of a second, so you can shoot quite wide open even on a sunny day with this particular camera. And I liked the camera, but I wanted an X Pro 3, so I traded it in for an X Pro 3, and that was a mistake. I should have stayed with the X Pro 2. So when I next get a chance, I'm going to get hold of an X Pro 2. It may mean I have to sacrifice my D800E to the camera gods to get it, but it's worth it. You can still get them in fantastic condition. That's the other thing; they get really well looked after. Because the X Pro 2 was considered their pro line at one point, because you have to go, if you go back about 10 years, video, yes, it was starting to come in, but it's still essentially a stills world. That has changed a lot now. Almost any camera you buy now has 4K video built into it, one way or another, 10-bit or 8-bit, mostly 10-bit, I have to say. Hell, even phones do now. But the X Pro series is still, I think, Fujifilm's photo-oriented line, far more than the XT series, even the XH2, which is supposed to be more photo centric with that 40 megapixel sensor. You can still shoot 8K video with it. You don't have open gate like you do on the HS2S. Yeah, XH2S. Yeah, that's right. I did say that right. But with the X Pro series, it was very much photography first, video as an afterthought. And I think there's going to be people out there that want cameras like that. So when, or if they ever produce an X Pro 4, please do, Fujifilm, please do. I really do hope they stick with this photo-centric camera line first. So if you want a camera that's primarily photos only, yes, you can shoot a bit of video, but really you just want to take photographs. If you want to shoot video, there are plenty of other cameras out there you can shoot video with. You don't even have to use a Fuji camera to shoot video. You could go, I mean, you can get pro features in a Panasonic GH52, and you can buy one of those for 750 quid, which is unbelievable to be able to get something that cheap. And it's got all this, open gate, vlog, all sorts of stuff. You want a camera that shoots video. I really do think you should just go buy a camera that is more video centric, and have a separate camera for photos. Yes, it might be more to carry, and yes, if you're using multiple lens mounts, it means more lenses. But I like the idea of getting an X Pro 2 again if I can. If I can't, maybe an X Pro 3. I don't know. And just mounting all my vintage glass on it, because I've got like 4 very nice lenses. I've got 2 FD lenses, a 24 and a 35mm. The 35mm is unbelievably sharp. And then I have 2 M42 lenses, which are Carl Zeiss Jenner DDR lenses of 50 and a 135, and they are awesome lenses. They're just so lovely. I mean, yes, I would like to put them on a full frame camera, but I'm not made of money. I can't buy a bleeding Leica to stick them on. And do I really want to put them on, an XH2? I mean, I suppose I could get an XT5, but even, they're still cropped exactly, maybe a Nikon. Now that's got me thinking. But yeah. Anyway, my experience with the camera is it was really easy to use. I just set it up how I wanted, aperture priority, ISO 800, -1 exposure compensation. This is because it was a sunny day. If it had been a dark day, I would have probably pushed it in the opposite direction by at least half a stop, just to get it to overexpose maybe a bit more. It depends. It was either that or I would push the ISO up. But either way, I just found the shooting experience to be quite enjoyable. I just really enjoyed myself. I had a smile on my face. It was a nice, nice walk. So yeah, if you want a camera, if you don't want to be forking out, oh god, I don't know how much the X100VI, X100VI is. I mean, you could get an X100V if you wanted to, but they're all very expensive and hard to get hold of. X Pro 2, under £1,000. I think the highest price on MPB is £909. That's pounds sterling. And let's see what's the lowest price. 769 quid. So yeah, no brainer. Yeah, it'd be a fun camera, especially to adapt vintage lenses to. I think a lot of people seem to adapt vintage lenses to this camera. So anyway, I'm going to stop there, and until next time, and oh yes, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye bye.